In today's episode, I sit down with Amy Bruske, a leader navigating the intersection of technology, strategy, and what it means to build something that works. Amy shares what it looks like to lead in a world where everything is accelerating, where AI, systems, and complexity are constantly pulling us forward, but clarity is harder to hold on to. Together, we discuss that work is becoming more about learning how to do the right things, even when you don't have the full picture. It's a conversation about judgment, about learning in real time and choosing direction over speed.
Welcome to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work, hosted by Dan T. Rogers. This show invites you into conversations that go deeper than job titles and hustle. It's about rethinking what work is for and how we can design it to serve our lives, rather than the other way around. Here, we'll talk with leaders, makers, and thinkers who are doing more than earning a paycheck. They're getting paid to practice life.
It's so easy to look at the actual hard costs, but when you talked about having to take people off the line and what does that cost us, right now I know that the kinds of investments that we're making in certain projects, and especially technology projects, because we deliver software, we have a software project, it is really hard sometimes to measure the opportunity costs. It's not like I can't calculate those people's salaries and what they're working on and what percent is applied to what kinds of projects, but what could we be doing if we weren't doing this? And that makes me a little bit crazy because I want to measure everything. But just at least having that mindset is sometimes hard for me to share with the people on our team. Like just really understanding what you just said is so key. And point being, technology, if it's not really radically increasing efficiency in some way or moving you in some direction, because in our case, this is a product sometimes for us too. Sure. It's just, we have so many complex situations right now that I know that technology is actually making worse in some ways. So that's my concern too about what's coming with AI. And the level at which people are changing everything and the amount of time they're spending versus really thinking about how strategically is it going to help.
I know enough to have a 100,000-foot view understanding, or maybe comprehension, not even understanding, of what, when you say you have software, right? I don't pretend to understand what it really means and like what you really said. You know what I mean? But I understand that basically. So I want to sort of say, okay, I agree with that, but let's set your exact example behind, because I don't know enough about it. I'm going to talk more generically, just because if you're the actual software producer, I think there's a different dynamic. But for the consumer of software or of technology, I would say what we're getting sold consistently and what we're buying like sheep is efficiency with no regard to effectiveness. And I'm not going to mention the person's name. I don't think that you were there, but it was forever ago now. It was probably close to 2 years ago, or whenever it was. We could look back at the calendar and find out. But we were in Toronto in cohort, and it was early on in ChatGPT days, and people are like, well, you can create your own content. And I'm like, please don't create your own content. Content has never been less valuable. If you don't have something to say, please don't say it. If you think you need to create content to make something happen, this proves that that's not necessary. You have a poorly designed system.
That's right.
Use these things to produce the things that you want to do, not the things that you think you have to do. This is a massive opportunity to say, what am I doing that I think I have to do that I don't actually have to do?
That's right.
That's the difference between efficiency and effectiveness.
That's right.
I'm going to go, I think he's buried in Pennsylvania, or it's either Pennsylvania or Ohio. I'm going to find out where Russell Alcoff is buried. I'm going to go put a single rose on the man's grave at some point, because I just feel like I've learned so much, and I've read almost most of his books. I've watched a bunch of his stuff that's online a bunch of times. But he's got this great quote, which is, I'd rather do the right thing wrong than the wrong thing right. Because when you do the wrong thing right, you're wronger.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least when you do the right thing wrong, you can learn something, right? And we're just obsessed with wronger.
That's right. It's any kind of movement. It's
And that's
any
just want to be
kind
very
of
careful.
progress.
I'm not suggesting what you guys are doing internally. That's a
Sure.
different thing as a person, is in terms of not consuming technology, you're producing technology. It's different, wildly different dynamic there.
Yeah, and for us, it's a vehicle to for what people want, for what we're already delivering.
Sure.
And you don't have to have the technology. For the people that want all the power in their hands, great.
Yep.
Otherwise, we can do
Yep.
it. But I love do the right thing and learn from it, because that's what we're doing every day. We are constantly learning. I always joke here, we're either winning or we're learning. And then I said, no, really, we're learning. Whether it's working or whether it's not, that's the only goal.
I wrote a post literally this morning. I probably would have to tell you exactly when it comes out. I've sort of lost track, but I've got a pretty decent lead on the post. I forget what the title is, but the line that I used was something like I don't review my wins, and it's not because of self-loathing or anything like that. I'm just lazy, and there's just not much there. If I'm going to daydream, I'm not going to daydream in the past. I'm going to daydream in the future, right? But what I do is I review the things that are something other than wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't call them gaps. I don't call them losses. They're just something other than wins. They're not wins.
Yeah.
They're just like, that's super valuable because I can learn something there. Yeah. So
Well,
if I'm actually going to turn my attention towards something and not be lazy, then I am going to look at something I can learn from for sure. Yeah.
Something that didn't work. I had the conversation just this week with a team member where I was saying, if we are not having some level of struggle or something didn't work, we're not trying enough new stuff. And I know that's my nature as an innovator and those kinds of things, but not everything can just be safe and a sure thing, or else I feel like we're missing out on some opportunities.
Yeah. Well, we have a weekly cadence as an org, and the meetings basically, I think it's on weeks 1 and 3 are sort of more organizationally focused, and then meetings on 2 and 4 week are usually individuals sort of check in with the group, and then when 5 comes up, it's sort of a capture session. But anyway, so we were doing the meeting yesterday. It's on Wednesday, and so sort of the question that we sent people in the breakout was where are we in alignment and where are we sensing friction? And I was in a group where the first person shared, and like we give them 2 minutes to write it down just so people right, and as the first person shared, and it was like they literally read my paper. Like they used different words, and I'm like, oh my god, they said it better than I did, but that's what I have. And then the next person said it even better than the first person, and I was just like, I have absolutely nothing to add other than like. And so I said, here's a bad version of what I heard you say. let me give you some reflecting listening, but basically feel really good about the big picture trajectory and alignment, but really a lot of friction around the execution on the details and just the details in general. And that was, so it was all 3 of us. And then we went back and one of the women spoke up and said all 3 of us sort of basically had the same thing. And then another person on the call. So then I just said, hey, how many people, even if it isn't what you wrote down, could identify with that? And all but 2 people basically raised their hand. Now, I don't know how true it was or wasn't, because like at some point.
Sure.
So then when I said to him, I was like, look, I don't think we want to be here forever, but if we're going to have alignment, I'd much rather have alignment on the big picture and the trajectory about where we're headed. And then as a reminder, if our core value is our first one in sequence is be opinionated, like we're not going to start off from a position of full alignment, right? No. So that we don't want to be there forever either. But like, I think, so this to me is incredibly healthy that this is where we are. And, yeah. So I don't know. I think, it's a very interesting time to be alive. Yes. Very interesting.
Totally agree. I think I can't even dream up where we're going to be, 10 years from now. And there's exciting parts in that. And then it's just, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I was talking to the bank yesterday, and we're probably in the next 30 days or so moving to this bank I was talking to, and I've known the guy at the bank for a long time, but we haven't worked with him, but like we know each other. He's a SAP and EO, and I've referred a bunch of business to him, and it just hasn't been, we're not cool enough to really need a banking relationship, and things were good enough, and it's like, look, when the time is right, we will go, but at first it was Christine, and now it's Ola. It's like, they're the only people that have to like this relationship. Like, I don't, I'm not cool. If they're not happy, I'm miserable. If they're happy, I'm happy. Like, it doesn't, right? So there was a timeline for that. But I was talking to him yesterday, and he was asking me some questions, and his name is Casey. And I'm like, Casey, I don't know, maybe I just like to be captured in integrity, or like I take myself too seriously. But like, you're asking me a question, and I'm like, I have absolutely no idea what 2027 looks like. Do I have a loose forecast? Sort of, but
yeah.
I mean, I it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft laid off 80% of their people tomorrow, and they're not gonna announce it.
Right.
There's not gonna be a heads up. They're gonna just announce it, and that's gonna be how it is. And the stock market, the stock price will fucking triple. Like, I mean, you know what I mean?
So that's just a year from now, and you're already saying, I can't even see it. I keep telling my kids, I'm like, I want to keep my health, really good, really great, because I want to live a long time, because I want to see my grandkids and all that. But I also, I don't know why I'm so weird this way. I'm so driven by, I want to see what life is like when we have flying cars and all the technology, and because everything else in the Jetsons has already come true. Like, we're going to have robots, we're going to have these things. I am fascinated by where technology is going to take us. And Kathy Colby was my stepmom. Even in her 80s, she loved playing around with technology. It wasn't that she needed to, or it was just fascinating to her and interesting. And so
it's just another toy. Like,
it's just a toy.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm still incredibly optimistic. I think the channel, or the thread of the needle, that we're not going to have at least some period of fairly massive malevolence that we may or may not actually make it through. Like, I like our chances, just because I mean, if I didn't believe in our chances, I wouldn't be on the phone with you right now. But I think, from where I sit, I think it's fairly naive. And I'm not saying that you're here in any way, shape, or form, just to be clear, but there's other people in our broader circle that only see the positive in this. And I'm like, with this level of power, we're just not super, like, guns don't kill people. Like, I agree. Knuckleheads kill knuckleheads. Right. Knuckleheads kill people. We're banking on and I'm just to say the system. I'm not going to vilify, any of the token figureheads of these, or incredibly worthy figureheads of these other organizations. I'll keep it simple and just say the design of the organization will not allow for them to be nice. It doesn't allow for them to be nice now. I mean, so in what universe? And this is where, there's times when I want to sit down. It's not about Dan Sullivan per se. It's just Dan's got the courage to put all of it out there and say all this. He's certainly a thoughtful, bright guy. But the people that are out there that are just like abundance and all this, I'm like, okay, first of all, abundance is the problem. It's not the fucking answer. Second, but even if you want to, we can, Dan, you're a semantics guy, whatever. Okay, like, be optimistic. Okay. But what is the track record that supports that there's going to be a benevolent king? Like, there just isn't one. So the benefit I've had of being 5'7" and bald, and then in shipping, when I started to have some level of success, I mean, I was always 5'7" and I was bald pretty quick, but when I started to have some level of success professionally, fortunately, I was in shipping, and no one else could give two shits about it, like my peers. And then when I bought the company, if I wanted to even be anything other than small in 2002, 3, 4, 7 billion with a B was about where you went from small to medium. I'm like, I talked in freight words. I was like, I'm small forever. Like, I mean, my delusions of grandeur, like, I should just sign up for being small. And so I in my other office, I would go this way and show you something. I have an elephant head. You might have seen it in another office, but an elephant head, it's wood, a wood carving, and it's painted metallic silver.
Uh-huh.
And it's the head of an elephant, and I put it up there because I've been operating as a field mouse, running around with elephants.
Oh, I like it. Yes.
And this is where I'm going with the benefit of it is because I've never been able to suffer the level of arrogance that virtually almost everyone else in the entire coach community has, because I'm not in a cool enough fucking business to have it. And they don't even know how much arrogance they have. It's like, if you think that you are on the right side of the wall, you're not.
No.
You're not. I don't ruin it for you. It ain't going to be the top 1%. Like, we're all in the top 1%. Congratulations. That's not where the line is. I'm an 80-20 guy. It's like 6,000 people, maybe, and you're not on the list.
Yeah.
Someone on that list doesn't have time to go to coach. Why would they go to coach? Why would they? I mean, like, they don't have anything. They just are. You know what I mean? So it's hard.
It's such an interesting point, because here's my question to you. First of all, you're one of the most humble people I have ever met, because you're such a rock star. You're teaching people every day just by the words that you say. So, but you have so much humility in these amazing things that you've built. But I hear exactly what you're saying, positioning wise. I have a question for you. Would you, if you could be the $6, $7, $8 million or $1 billion company, would you choose that route?
So I've had the very fortunate luxury that we've never got big enough that I had to confront would I violate my own code. So mathematically speaking, what I would say is, so all this is all based on the same stuff, right? So I am absolutely convinced that as a species, we've never made the successful jump from tribe or large group to what I would call state. And we have plenty of places called states. You live in Arizona, I live in Washington, right? Like, but respectfully, design matters. It doesn't matter what you call it. It matters how you design it. We've built e-states, right? And they're all e-states. They're not all called e-states, but they are all, if you have a single figurehead on top, it's not a fucking state. It's an e-state.
Yeah.
So, and I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but that's my basic position. And I say, I don't think we've ever made it before, because I think if we had done it successfully in the past, it would still be around. Because it would level all of this other horrific design. Like, it just, and so, like, when we're on a mission to redeem work, the word, the place, the way. And a couple, 3 years ago, I got in front of the entire company. I was like, look, I will not fucking be here again next year. We are not fucking redeeming work. We're not.
Yeah.
I'm not, you're not, we're not. We're not. And I will not be here again. I will not be here again. And how can I say definitively we all work, and most of you remote? How can I say? Because you can't hide redeeming work. You can't hide it. It'll show up. I won't know how it'll show up, but I'm in the wrong office. That's why I got lightning on the wall. I can't tell you where the lightning strikes, but lightning is created in a very specific environment. I can't tell you how we're going to redeem work, but I can tell you what redeem work looks like, because you can't miss it. So that's my opinion, is that we've never made that jump. So back to what you asked, sort of mathematically speaking, and then some very, very, very high level, layman level, especially with your brilliance and education and knowledge. I say this on a very layman level. My loose understanding is, mathematically speaking, the system dynamics people have a little bit of opinion. The sort of business leaders have a different opinion, but everyone is hovering somewhere between 80 and about 200 people is about what we can hold. And then psychologically or whatever, that's like how many people we can actually really be in relationship that we can actually know. We can recognize bazillions of people, but like actually really know and trust.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, guess what? That's the limit. And that's actually where I'd cap it. I'd probably cap it 64% of that is where I'd cap it, because I run on 64% capacity, because you got to leave room for it. If you're right there and then someone wonderful shows up, you can't bring them on the team. Right?
That's right.
So that's my answer is I would like to think that I would stay at the level that we are, and then either upgrade the value creation or start spinning off other things that are wholly separate entities other than to themselves, that have their own stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But in fairness, it's easy to say that because I've never been there.
Yeah, no, but I think, and that's why we're just guessing, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I heard Gino Wickman say years ago, I knew exactly the size that EOS was going to get before I just said, I'm not the person anymore. And he was so clear on, no, I am never going to be running a business like this, because it doesn't serve the purpose for what he wants to do for his own, for his soul and what he is meant to do. And so it's not just, it sounds very practical and tactical, and it's like, I don't love this size of a business, because it's more complex. But I think it's deeper than that. There are some people that's their bag, and or they're just searching. Like the more is a part of it. I'm just so content.
Here's what I would throw out there for you to consider, especially for where you sit and what you do. And so I do have some, I don't have all my visual aids, but I have some of my visual aids.
Love it.
So there we go. So these are the restraints. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this one is number 4. It says FOA, focus on awesome.
Love it.
So number 4 in the semiotic then would be, this is how we relate to our thinking. This is how we plan our thinking.
Right.
So in 3 words, if you only gave me 3 words, like, what's the strategy to plan on your thinking? Focus on awesome. And if Gino focused on awesome, he could have fucking run that business forever.
Yep.
That's the difference.
Yep.
Everyone is just tied to scale. So we are bringing, Mary Firon is helping us. She sent us a presentation yesterday. It's by far good enough. There's a couple things we need to change. But we are going to bring, I'll say, an EOS alternative. It's not an EOS alternative. Those people offer operating systems. You just said I'm humble. Like, this is where I'm saying people don't understand how arrogant they are. A system means something in my world. Operating means something in my world, right? I think we have an operating system. It's called us. And I think if it isn't perfect, it's close enough to perfect. Like, I mean,
sure.
I got no opinions on what we should do with the boss's work. I'm like, I'm just going to leave it there. So what we're bringing to the world is an alternative orienting process to orient this operating system. I'm not looking to rework it. I'm looking to just have it orient differently. Because that's why everyone's like, why are you so weird? Because I'm oriented differently. That's why. So yeah, but that's the orientation. So instead of orientating on more, because anyone dumb enough to talk to me about this stuff, what I would say is, okay, look, a plan is almost always, but we'll say always, but almost always better than no plan. So if you don't have a plan, pick up Rockefeller habits, pick up EOS, pick up something. Don't be a knucklehead. Like, people have figured this out, right? Like, don't be like, that's silly. However, if you have the good fortune of having some time to evaluate a plan before you pick it up, look at what you're picking up and then just say, what is it most likely to produce?
Right.
So if you pick up traditional business, what you're likely to produce is you will own a horrific company that you don't like, that produces massive wealth, but comes at a massive social cost to you and everyone else.
Right. That's right.
It will not be a surprise. Like, if you turn into Microsoft, you'll look like Microsoft. And great, you'll have billions of dollars. Fantastic. If that's what you want, but that's your plan. It's not to have a wonderful company.
Right.
It's not to fucking change the world, at least in any sort of meaningful way. Absolutely. It's to generate massive wealth, which is totally fine. But then
it can be a goal for your shareholders, right?
And then just call it. There's probably a better way than starting a company to generate that level of wealth. But whatever. Like, I mean, just own what it is. But if you actually want to design something that is a societal system, then we better start with a societal system design.
Sure.
If you want to create an ecosystem, then we better design things that fit inside of an ecosystem that don't blatantly contradict the laws of the ecosystem, which is what we have, right?
Yeah.
See, this is, yeah. So that's why focus on awesome.
Yeah.
And I think awesome would keep us at probably somewhere between 80 to 200 people.
Yes. I totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't see how, I mean, I haven't made it. I haven't had to make it at that level. I've made it at lower levels. I don't know. If I can do it with $10, I'm pretty sure I can do it with $10 billion. You know what I mean? I'm doing everything backwards. I'm not waiting to have $1 bazillion. I mean, I think people think I'm way wealthier than I am just because I have a relationship with money that they just think I have gobs of it. I'm like, it's not mine. I'm just the shepherd. None of this is my sheep.
That's good. I love that mindset, and the fact that you're talking about, we actually have a training that we do called Your Operating System. I love that phrase because you are born with an operating system. You are uniquely you. And so you have to figure that out, quit trying to change it, and then give other people the information, like the manual, the operating manual for working with you. Because there's so much focus on bettering yourself and changing yourself. And there's certain things that are just true. And like you said, contradictory to the ecosystem in either the laws of nature or human beings and how we are wired. And the more we lose sight of that, we are constantly trying to change what is versus working with it. So I love hearing the orienting people phrase. I'd love to know more about that because this is what I strive to do all the time, is help people figure out how to quit working against nature.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. We're definitely saying the same thing because Colby isn't suggesting an upgrade or a different operating system. Colby is saying, let us give you insight into a more profound understanding of your existing, probably unchangeable operating system. I don't know, like that it's a much more humble position,
right, than
some of these others and I'm not terribly virtuous or either. I think I'm pretty much middle of the road on all of this stuff, but to me, it's like lying is a very effective short-term strategy. It's super effective. It's a grossly ineffective long-term strategy, right? And so
you maintain it.
Yeah. Very difficult at some point, and the universe will just wait. Like the universe will wait at some point, right? So I don't say it from a moral standpoint. I say it from an effectiveness standpoint. It's like it's just a bad idea to push lies, and so is it a big jump to say that designing and calling something that it is? I mean, like it's just. I stopped saying like corporations are lies because I think people started thinking I was like a fucking socialist or anarchist or something. I'm like, no, I'm a mathematician. Like it's a false statement. Like, I'll ruin it for you. Like that false, like, but that's a bad strategy. That's a super bad strategy. It's a bad strategy. And so it's not surprising to me that in my lifetime, workers are at least 3, if not 4 times more disengaged than they were when I was first entering the workforce.
Yes. And we all know, this is so.
But that's not a design problem. That's a person problem. Oh, okay.
No, absolutely not. Companies give workers more than ever before, whether it's in pay or benefits or all the things supposedly people want and working from home. It's not working. It's very obvious that people are still just as more miserable, really, as you're saying, because all the research certainly shows that too.
Well, the reason why I say the triangles is because that's how everything is designed, right? They're all pyramids. And I also like saying, okay, well, if design doesn't matter, let me take your most of us own a vehicle of some sort, a vehicle with wheels. And I'm going to replace whatever your wheels are with my fancy new design that doesn't matter. And it's going to be a triangle. And tell me how well that works. Yeah. And it won't matter how comfortable the seat is. And it won't matter how great, because design trumps the stereo. Yeah. Design trumps the benefits. The design of the corporation is that bad. It doesn't matter if you give them kegerators or bazillions of dollars. Yeah. All they'll do is take the money and then go try to find something else to do. Like they won't. They will not find happiness inside that system. The system is not designed to create effectiveness or happiness. It's designed to transfer wealth. That doesn't make it bad. It makes it a wealth transfer machine. Like, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
So it's interesting from a worker point of view. Do you think that we have certainly, and I'm very committed to young people in the workforce. I love to think about what do they need in order to have this wonderful life moving forward and be future leaders. Do you think? What about the mindset of these people, or what they've been told, or what they've been sold, or whatever, in regards to even being aware that it's the design? Because I think people in their 20s, they think it is about the comfortable seats and stuff for a while. I don't know how long it takes you to really figure out, no, oh, you're right. The fancy leather seats aren't what I need. I love the car analogy, by the way. I think that's
So I'm absolutely convinced, and that's why we call everything classy problems. But like, I'm convinced that we are in a very classy problem as a global species. And I think everybody is on the climb of finding out that purpose, without purpose, it just isn't that great of an existence.
Yep.
We historically only had very, 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 very destructive means of effectively numbing ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have terribly good numbing ones now, but what we have instead is that we numb through distraction. And we are so epically distracted that we don't realize how fucking miserable we are most of the time.
Right.
And then the numbing, we can manage the numbing a little bit more effectively than just all becoming heroin addicts or whatever, right?
Sure.
I suffer from plenty of issues. Like, there's no, but I at times I wish I had a Messiah complex, because that would really suck. But if the rest of it, it would suck a few minutes a day, but it would be great the rest of the time. Because I could just lean into it, right? I'm like, no, I'm actually fairly sane. But I have a really, really difficult time engaging with almost everybody now, because everyone, to get this level of attention, I'm not surprised from you. It's one of the reasons why I was so thrilled that we get a chance to talk. But like, I just,
Yes.
or whatever, like, just, and they're not. What's so funny is I'm hoping this is the best version of me there's ever been. I hope that there's a better version tomorrow, but this really is probably the best version of me there's ever been. And at one point, unfortunately, way back in the day, I was not a terribly nice person. I wasn't overtly mean, but I wasn't terribly nice. And so, like, I've been the mean person in the conversation before. Could be again in the future. And so I know what that looks like, because I've lived it, and I've reviewed it, and I've attempted to move away from it. These people are not that. Like, these people are, they're starting from a position that I had to evolve to, seemingly. You don't know, obviously, but like, from the outside, and I got I've got some of my own experience to sort of look at them. They appear to be much kinder, gentler versions of humans than from where I came from.
Yeah.
But they're just like, I don't think they would ever. This is why I was so big on we're still big on intentionality, but I'm convinced that intentionality would be part of the answer, because if I actually had awareness to what I was doing, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
There's very few of us that can actually really be mean, awful people. Like, when I was not as nice as nice as I wanted to be in the past, I couldn't live with it. It's very difficult to stomach that. Without awareness, it's fantastic. It's like, yeah, right. But as that started to get reflected back at me, I was like, oh, I can't stomach this.
Yeah, that's my worry and my wonder about having the phone in front of you and all these things, is just how much of that repetitively at a young age starts to create a different human than what your potential was. And I'm not saying you couldn't get away from that, but those habits are so ingrained, it's hard to be intentional. I always also worry about us just, the way we physically evolve, and what are we doing to our brains and some of those kinds of things along the way. And I don't necessarily fully have a judgment about it. Well, I probably do. But I try to step back and say, like, I'm curious about this. I'm interested in it.
I won't hold it to you forever, but in this moment, what would your judgment of it be?
My judgment of it would be that you are missing out on some of the most wonderful aspects of life with connection and what true, like you're saying, a sense of purpose and how other humans make your life better, and how really working at something and struggling at it gives you such a wonderful perspective. So intentionality versus just being on autopilot is, it changes everything. You can't experience the level of joy that I think you can get out of life unless you have a different experience. Like, it can't just all be so distracted all the time and not feeling things. You got to feel things kind of deeply. So your numbing example is huge. And I think anyone who's been through some really hard stuff or some addiction or any of that most of the people I hang out with have been through some hard things, because I just find that they feel things in a different way, in a deeper way. It's hard to have any kind of perspective if you haven't experienced some stuff. I can't just tell you, imagine this and now live your life differently as if you had gone through this or felt this or had this. So when we're not really experiencing everything about life, I think it's just interesting to me. I don't know how you can create that. And I'm not suggesting I would want hard things to happen to people on purpose. Life is just, it is what it is. The good doesn't last, the bad doesn't last, right?
Yeah.
Kind of live in the middle in this numbed up phase. You're kind of taking some years where you're not having you're not getting the base of what you need to keep evolving and becoming an even better person all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to backtrack on what I said. I am going to hold you. I'm going to hold you to that.
I mean, I don't.
Until you tell me you don't want me to, but I want you to hold me to that.
Sure.
No, I agree. I mean, yes, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
But you can't, this is the thing, as parents, we experience this, as leaders, we experience this. You can't force this on people, but I would want the environment and the tools to be there so that people have what they need to become the best versions of themselves.
Yep.
And it's interesting to just watch in our current environment, how does that happen? Because it's just going to be different than what we experienced, right? What is it 20 years from now that is different than what we went through? I don't know what that is, but I'm so curious, and I'm always wondering about it.
No, I'm completely in your camp. I've been the boss has been ridiculously generous with me, and there's definitely been some stuff that I can say that my fingerprints are more visible on, where I mean, it's always anything is always, any sort of accomplishment is more than 0 but less than 100%, right? So with the ones that even the most accurate accounting would give me the largest percentage, whatever that number would be, is probably still a very small number, but it's still probably closer to 0 than it is to 100, but it's not 0. So with the biggest, most impressive ones that I can have, whatever those are, it's not that they suck, because they don't. And depending on who the person is, maybe you're impressed with it or not. But what I will tell you is if I was to pull the list of things together that are like the highlights of the things that I've been a part of, my percentage is practically 0 on all of them. It's more than 0, because otherwise you're not a part of it. You're just on the ride, and that's boring. I got to participate. I got to contribute. But what was cool is I contributed like 0.2%, and I got the upside of the impact of 80% or 42%. I mean, the return on attention was off the charts, and that's just basic math. I mean, if we take Oprah, I mean, I think Oprah. I mean, none of us are perfect, but you could do way worse than Oprah.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, if I was going to just say, like, who should you emulate? I mean, like, based on my understanding of her story, if everyone started where she started and ended up where she ended up, like, we wouldn't recognize this place. So let's just, more than a good case study. As cool as she is, and I think she's pretty cool. No one's perfect, but I think she's pretty cool. If she joins something bigger than Oprah, it's cooler than Oprah. That's how math works.
That's right.
It doesn't diminish how cool she is. It's just like basic bigger, right?
That's right.
And we do, our orientation is to do the opposite. That's why sitting on top is not, it's not, I don't want to be on top.
Yeah.
I joined EO way back in the day, and eventually that's how I found my way to coach, was because a guy in EO said you should do coach. But I found my way in EO because I woke up one day and for all practical purposes, I was the coolest person in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, my MO is to be in the middle of the pack, like trying to work my way through. And I didn't make it to the front. I got close enough that I thought I could see the front, and I had to find a different pack, right?
Right.
And but I don't want to be on top of anything. If I can see the top of it, it ain't cool enough for me to be on. That's my arrogance.
That is so fascinating. I love that. Like, who is your pack and who you're surrounding yourself with? And I had never really thought of that. You're giving me a very different perspective, but the I don't want to be on top is fascinating.
I want to be a vital part of, but not on top. And so we've designed the company to reflect that. I think we shared this before. So it's got 3 core processes or whatever, and it looks like a Rubik's Cube. There's not a top.
Right.
Like, you decide what the top is. Like, cool. All right. It's the top. You say it's the top.
Right.
It's the top. Great.
Yeah.
It's a vital part. That's all I can tell you, right? So that to me, and again, I just, you know, Stell, right?
Yeah.
So he's actually going to be here on Monday. It's going to be fantastic. But I was up there, and I've spent too much time with him. I'm super fortunate to be able to say that. So in one of our conversations, he's just like, dude, and I was doing like, I guess technically we're doing a breakthrough or whatever, but I've done a handful of things with him or whatever. And he's like, no one zooms out the way you do. And I'm like, that's just what's there, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Embrace
Like,
it.
you're the vision guy. I look out. I'm not seeing the building. Like, I mean, I'm seeing like the whole, the field. But anyway, so I think, why would you want to be on top?
Thanks for listening to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work. If something resonated, share the episode and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, clarity isn't something you find. It's something you practice. And getting paid to practice life beats working to get paid.